Welcome to Eastern Wisdom Today. Discover the timeless insights of Eastern civilization, its rich history, vibrant cultures, profound philosophies, and the stories of its people, all shared to help you live more consciously, deeply, and authentically in the modern world. On this channel, we bring you the essence of Eastern wisdom traditions, from ancient teachings of mindfulness, harmony, and balance to practical ways you can apply them to your everyday life. Whether you're seeking inner peace, a deeper understanding of your true nature, or simply a more meaningful way to live, you're in the right place. Learn from the past, live fully today, create a better tomorrow. Subscribe and join a growing community reconnecting with the roots of wisdom for a happier, more mindful life. Humans often gaze up at the stars and ask, where do we come from? Not only does our body come from stardust, as physicists suggest, but so too must our civilization. Our values, memories, and meanings be traced back to their origins. Civilization is not merely buildings, machines, or the internet. Civilization is the answer humanity has long sought to the eternal question: what does it mean to be human? Have you ever wondered, when did the first civilization arise? Was it only because of tools, agriculture, or is there something deeper behind it all? In this video, we explore the origin of human civilization through multiple dimensions. The lens of evolutionary science, ancient myths of lost civilizations, and most importantly, the profound viewpoint of Eastern philosophy, the resonance of heaven, earth, human. This journey is not just a look into the past, but a doorway to new insights about humanity, the universe, and the true meaning of civilization. 1. Civilization through the lens of science. Evolution's long memory. If civilization is the pinnacle of human intellect, it did not suddenly appear like a lightning bolt in a clear sky. Instead, civilization is a long and systematic accumulation, a living memory of an evolutionary process spanning millions of years. From a species no different from wild animals, humans gradually established rules of living, organized society, developed language, created tools, and eventually built the civilization we see today. To understand the origin of civilization, we must turn back time to the emergence of modern humans, Homo sapiens. Around 300,000 years ago in Africa, but its deeper roots lie in the evolutionary trajectory of hominins, the group that includes all human ancestors, stretching back 6 to 7 million years. Unlike other primates, Homo sapiens possess several unique biological traits: an unusually large brain, about 1,300 to 1,400 cc, especially the prefrontal cortex responsible for planning, abstract thinking, and behavioral control, bipedalism, freeing the hands for toolmaking, and a developed vocal apparatus enabling complex language. These factors not only helped humans adapt to the environment but also opened the door to exchanging ideas, storing knowledge, and transmitting wisdom, three core elements of civilization building. One of the most critical leaps in this journey was the development of language. Language is not merely a tool for communication, it is the foundation for sharing knowledge, forming culture, and preserving collective memory. From a cognitive science perspective, language allows us to name objects, creating symbols and concepts, express intentions and emotions, building social trust, and structure abstract thought such as ethics, law, and metaphysical beliefs. Without language, there would be no mythology, no rules, no written culture, and no civilization as we know it. Around 2.5 million years ago, our ancestors began crafting stone tools, marking the beginning of the Paleolithic era. These simple implements, hand axes, scrapers, and spears, signaled humanity's attempt to reshape the natural world. Initially a response to survival needs, tools evolved to show signs of design thinking, imagination, and abstraction, the early seeds of engineering and science. The Neolithic Revolution, around 10,000 years ago, marked a shift from foraging to farming. Humans no longer lived at nature's whim, they began to control and organize it. The agricultural revolution was not just a technical milestone, it marked a transition from instinct to order. Farming and animal husbandry allowed permanent settlements, food surplus, and labor division. This inevitably led to leadership, social stratification, rules, and norms. Stable communities grew into towns and cities. The need to manage surplus birthed writing, accounting, and mathematics. Thus, the first great civilizations, Mesopotamia, ancient Egypt, the Indus Valley, and early China, emerged. What makes humanity unique is its ability to accumulate and transmit knowledge across generations. While other species must relearn from scratch, humans can stand on the shoulders of giants. Over time, knowledge became systematized into philosophy, science, and the arts. Technology advanced from tools to irrigation systems, architecture, astronomy, and metallurgy. Social structures like law, statehood, and institutional religion were born. Civilization, then, is the union of intellect and memory, where ancestral wisdom lives on through monuments, symbols, and customs. From the Renaissance to the Industrial Revolution, humanity experienced another great leap. Grounded in Greek philosophy, Enlightenment rationalism, and empirical science, humans invented machines that replaced manual labor. Physics established laws governing the universe. Medicine, chemistry, and molecular biology enabled us to manipulate our own bodies. Modern civilization, though brilliant, also forces us to confront new questions. Does technical progress accompany moral advancement? Does material growth come at the cost of losing our sense of being? From a scientific perspective, civilization is the ongoing outcome of biological evolution, giving us brains and consciousness. Cultural evolution, creating language, tools, social structures, and intergenerational knowledge transmission, forming science, technology, and moral values. It is not a finished product, but a dynamic process, constantly revised and redefined by each generation. Civilization is a living memory, a story humanity tells about its journey. Through stone, writing, music, science, and through its ongoing search for meaning. 2. Civilization through the lens of philosophy, a journey of the human spirit. From a philosophical perspective, civilization is not merely the sum of material achievements, houses, tools, machines, libraries, or cities, but rather the concrete unfolding of a dynamic process of spirit. Here, spirit is not used in a religious or emotional sense, but in a philosophical one. It refers to the capacity for self-awareness, self-reflection, and the ability to transcend one's natural state to create a symbolic world. Civilization is the result of humanity's continuous effort to overcome natural instincts in order to form a second world, a world of values, of thought, of symbols, and of inner freedom. This journey is one from instinct to reason, from chaos to order, from the unconscious to the conscious, from the biological to the human. Hegel, the great German philosopher, saw history as the process through which the absolute spirit realizes itself. In this view, human history is not just a sequence of events, but the unfolding of a spirit striving toward freedom and self-consciousness. Civilization, then, is the stage where spirit constructs institutions, such as law, the state, art, religion, and philosophy, that allow humans not only to live, but to understand themselves. When humans begin to question themselves, who am I? Why do I live? What is right? Civilization becomes not just a material condition, but a spiritual environment where human values, ethics, and meaning are debated, preserved, and passed on. From ancient Greece, Plato already perceived civilization as a reflection of the inner structure of the soul projected onto society. In the Republic, he likened the ideal state to an expanded human soul, where reason governs, spirit defends, and desire is moderated. From this standpoint, civilization cannot be assessed merely by technological progress or social organization, but must be measured by moral order, the harmony between the parts of the soul, and the pursuit of the good. A society that is materially advanced but morally unbalanced, where reason is overpowered by desire, is, in fact, a degenerate civilization. Eastern philosophy, particularly in ancient China, also viewed civilization as the cultivation of the human being in alignment with heaven, that is, the moral order or the way, Tao. Confucius emphasized, cultivate the self, regulate the family, govern the state, bring peace to the world. Here, the foundation of social order lies in personal ethical cultivation. Thus, civilization does not begin with external reform but with inner transformation, through the development of Ren, benevolence, Yi, righteousness, Li, ritual propriety, Ji, wisdom, and Xin, integrity. A society where individuals embody these values naturally forms a sustainable civilization. Conversely, if people lose their ethical roots, even the most technologically advanced society may collapse, because it has lost its spiritual foundation. Indian philosophy goes even deeper into the nature of Maya, the illusory nature of the material world. In many Indian philosophical and spiritual traditions, civilization is not the ultimate goal but rather a phase within the cosmic cycle of samsara. Civilization may rise to great heights, but it is bound to decay, because it is governed by impermanence. Yet the spiritual journey never ends. Humanity is not called to dominate matter, but to transcend illusion about the self, desire, and power. Therefore, true civilization is not defined by material achievement, but by enlightenment, the realization of impermanence and non-self. From a philosophical lens, civilization is always a process of becoming, not a completed state. It is a dynamic unfolding of human self-definition. What is a human being? What is the right way to live? What is of true value? Existential philosophy, from Kierkegaard to Heidegger, stresses that the human being is not a static, rational animal, but a being who must become itself. Civilization, then, is the stage upon which humans make choices, confront freedom and anxiety, face death, and in doing so, create meaning. If technology provides tools for survival, philosophy offers a way to live meaningfully. If economics produces wealth, spirit teaches us why that wealth matters. A civilization may be rich, advanced, and modern, but if its people lose the ability to question, to contemplate the sacred, the beautiful, and the good, it begins to rot from within. That is why philosophy is the quiet yet essential foundation of every civilization. Every major leap in human development is accompanied by a revolution in thought, from Socrates' ethical questioning, to Descartes' re-grounding of knowledge, to Kant's delineation of reason and moral freedom. Philosophy does not offer technical solutions, but it provides the compass, reminding us that we are not just calculating beings, but beings capable of asking who we are, that we live not merely to satisfy needs, but to live rightly. Therefore, to understand civilization, one must go beyond archaeology, anthropology, or history. It requires philosophical insight. Philosophy shows us that every facet of civilization, language, law, art, science, unfolds from deeper assumptions about human nature, the world, and truth. When these assumptions change, civilization changes. When people stop asking about what is right, civilization enters a phase of hollowness and confusion. In the end, civilization is the collective inner state of an age. It is the story of the human spirit seeking light, not the light of machines or electricity, but the light of self-knowledge, of meaning, of truth. For that reason, the greatest civilization is not the one with the most advanced technology, but the one that dares to return to the root question: what are we living for? 3. Civilization through the Eastern lens. The resonance of heaven, earth, and man. In Eastern worldviews, particularly those found in the philosophical and religious traditions of China, India, and other Asian cultures, civilization is not merely understood as material progress. Rather, it is seen as the manifestation of a cosmic harmony, the resonance between heaven, Thien, earth, Dia, and humanity, Nyan. In contrast to the Western tendency to emphasize the conquest of nature and the rational individual, Eastern thought centers on harmony, cyclical rhythms, and the positioning of the human being as a sacred link within a living and dynamic cosmos. Civilization, in this light, is not solely a human creation, but the process by which humans live in accordance with, understand, and express the moral order of the cosmos, what the Taoists call the Tao. The concept of heaven, earth, human is not a triad of disconnected entities, but a unified triad of interrelated dimensions. Heaven symbolizes cosmic order, the laws of nature, and the highest principle, an invisible, intangible force apprehended through intuition, contemplation, and ethical living. Earth represents the material world, the fertile ground from which life emerges, governed by cycles of seasons and natural transformation. Human does not merely refer to the biological being, but to a self-aware agent who can cultivate inner morality and harmonize the influences of heaven and earth to create human concord. In this sense, civilization is the state in which these three realms are in optimal resonance, with the human being acting as a conduit, a mirror that reflects and bridges the heavens and the earth. Confucianism articulates this principle most clearly. Confucius spoke little of metaphysics or speculative cosmology, but he consistently emphasized the relationship between heaven and the moral person. Heaven is the source of heavenly mandate, theme men, the highest principle beyond human manipulation. A person who aspires to live rightly must know the mandate of heaven, and then cultivate oneself. Regulate the family, govern the state, and bring peace to the world. In Confucianism, civilization does not begin with political reform or technological innovation but with personal ethical cultivation. If individuals revere heaven, follow the way, uphold propriety, and act with righteousness, then society will naturally find order. Conversely, when people act against the principles of heaven, with arrogance, greed, or irreverence, social chaos ensues. Nature becomes hostile, and calamity follows. For the triadic harmony of heaven, earth, human has been broken. Taoism, particularly in the works of Laozi and Zhuangzi, goes even further by equating true civilization with a return to nature. The Tao, as Laozi teaches, is the nameless, formless principle that precedes all creation. The more humans interfere with nature, through artificial systems, laws, and ambitions, the further they drift from the Tao. Civilization, if it does not follow the principle of Wu Wei, non-forcing, non-coercion, becomes a project of resistance against nature, ultimately leading to disorder and decay. Laozi famously said, "Heaven and earth are not sentimental. They treat all things like straw dogs." This suggests that if humanity becomes arrogant, imagining it can dominate nature, it will inevitably suffer the consequences. The ideal civilization, then, is one that steps back, lives simply, and flows with the cosmic rhythm, governed not by rigid laws, but by the quiet wisdom of non-interference. Indian philosophies, particularly within Hinduism and Buddhism, share similar views but take the metaphysical dimension even deeper. In Indian thought, the material world, prakriti, is seen as impermanent, governed by the cyclical laws of karma and rebirth. Humans, trapped in this cycle, are often deluded by ego and desire, leading to suffering and conflict. Civilization, if focused solely on material achievements, becomes an expression of collective ignorance. In contrast, when individuals awaken to their true nature, Atman, transcending illusion and delusion, their actions, whether political, artistic, or ethical, become liberating rather than binding. An ideal society, then, is not free of conflict, but composed of individuals living in a state of awakened awareness, knowing who they are, where they come from, and where they are going. Thus, civilization is not an end in itself but a context for spiritual growth and ultimate liberation, moksha. Beyond formal philosophy, Eastern civilizations have embodied the heaven-earth-human triad in symbolic practices across architecture, medicine, art, ritual, and daily life. In feng shui, for example, a house is not just a structure. but a space designed to harmonize celestial directions, earthly formations, and the resident's destiny. Traditional Eastern medicine sees the body as a microcosm, a universe in miniature, where energy, blood, and yin-yang must be in balance, mirroring cosmic rhythms. Healing is not about eradicating disease but restoring harmony. Ritual practices, from ancestral offerings to New Year festivals, reflect this sacred connection between the living and the spiritual, between generations, between past and present. These manifestations illustrate a profound characteristic of Eastern civilization: the integration of cosmology and ethics. Nature and spirit. Humans are not conquerors of the world, but co-resonant beings, attuned listeners, and spiritual bridges. Civilization, from this view, is not a race toward material accumulation, but a process of inner synchronization with the vast rhythm of the cosmos. When such synchronization is maintained, society finds stability, nature remains benevolent, and individuals experience a sense of peace and alignment. When the connection is severed, when heaven, earth, and humanity fall into dissonance, societies decline, ecosystems collapse, and human spirit becomes fragmented. Eastern philosophy reminds us that true civilization cannot be measured by GDP or technological prowess alone. It must be evaluated through the quality of human interiority and the depth of harmony between humanity and the larger web of life. A great civilization is not the one with the most machines, but the one that lives in alignment with the way of heaven, the dignity of humanity, and the cycles of the earth. In such a civilization, even the simplest acts, drinking tea, planting vegetables, teaching a child, become sacred expressions of cosmic wisdom. Civilization ceases to be a distant abstraction and becomes a state of awakened living, humble, wise, and attuned to the breathing rhythm of the Tao. Conclude. Where does human civilization come from? Human civilization does not arise merely from the development of tools or social organization, but more profoundly, from the ongoing interaction, adaptation, and reflection between human beings and the cosmos. From a scientific perspective, it emerged through millions of years of biological and social evolution. From the depths of mythology, it is illuminated by memories of lost ancient civilizations. From religious viewpoints, it is a sacred gift or a divine mission bestowed upon humanity. And from the Eastern philosophical lens, civilization is the resonance between heaven, earth, and human, where people live in harmony with the cosmic order. Thus, the origin of civilization is not found solely in history, but in consciousness itself, in the relationship between the individual and the whole, material and spiritual, concrete and metaphysical. Civilization, therefore, is both a product of time and a mirror of timeless truths. In a noisy world, wisdom is a place to return to. If this video stirred something within you, a question, a pause, or a spark, consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to Eastern Wisdom today. Together, we learn to live more mindfully, deeply, and authentically, one day at a time. Tap the bell so you won't miss the journey back to your true self.